All right, so we are on level 4 of the 5 levels of leadership. And I'm just going to announce this at the beginning, and then we'll do it again at the end if somebody else is coming on. So that means that we just have this week and next week left of the 5 levels. So you're probably all really excited about finding out what our next book is going to be, because of course we're not going to stop. Can't stop, won't stop. We are going to embark on Soundtracks by Jon Acuff. This has been such an impactful book. Plexus did it as a book club last spring, summer, somewhere in there. I don't remember when it was. It was before November, which is essentially sometime during the year. But Sherry, I love how Sherry talks about the book where she was like, I wasn't really interested in the book. Can't judge a book by its title.
I did.
Yep. But then we jumped in, and it has been such an impactful book. And just so that you guys know that when we talk about which books that we should be choosing, we do actually consider the people that are listening to it. And so, yeah, we think that this is a really great place for us all to kind of camp our brains for this next chunk of time. And I don't think it's going to take very long for us to go through. Famous last words. Famous last words. But we're going to give Mr. Maxwell a little bit of a rest. So we're going to go hang with John for a bit. The other John.
The other John.
Yeah, sorry. Apparently there's stipulation as to the people that we read. Your name has to be John. All right, so we are level 4 people development. And I think before we move on to this, just a reminder that the last thing that was said in level 3 was no, don't neglect level 2. So even though we are going up, gonna bring you back. Don't neglect level 2. And on we go.
And I love the people development part of level 4. I think it's just, I mean, it's what we do when we raise kids. And I'm going to take it right back to raising kids, because when we're raising kids, we're developing people. And day to day with the spilt milk and the you touch me kind of commotion, we don't always realize that that's what we're doing. We're developing people. And when we deal with those things, we're teaching the skills for how to work with people in difficult situations, because life's just like that. So
isn't it funny? Like so Lucas and I started working, not really working, at this beautiful, if you guys saw my stories, like on what, 2 days ago, there's this beautiful historical hall that has been redone. Like, what's the word I'm looking for? Restored. That's the word. Like rehabbed? No, that's, well, yes, but no, restored. And there's a portion of new building, like, but it was built in 1923 or something. Like it's a really old building. And so we are at the gala of all of the people, all of the donors, and we're working the coat check. And my son is like losing his mind because he really likes fashion, and he's looking at all the labels of these jackets that we're hanging up, and he's like totally like it's blowing his mind. And I'm kibitzing, right? This is a skill set. This is it. Yeah. So I say to my son, this is my people development moment. I'm like, kid, if you hang with me for a bit, you will learn how to kibitz with people. And he's like, oh, mom. I'm like, no. You don't need to be like, and it was just so interesting because I never really thought about the skill of just being able to small talk, but not small talk for the sake of small, just like realizing that you can impact somebody's day by looking them in the eyes and saying, hey, enjoy yourself this evening, or hey, you got a lucky number here, like we're coat check, like how many, yeah, anyway, lots of people had lucky numbers. Anyway, but I realized that this is a development skill. Like if you can talk to people, if you can find something to pull out, to converse with people about, to connect with people and whatever. And I'm like, oh, look at that. There's another parenting parenting moment that we wouldn't have had otherwise outside the home. It was a moment where, and then of course we come home and his dad goes, yep, you need to listen to mom. You learn how to schmooze. Okay.
Well, there's all sorts of different words for it, but the reality is, for the person that goes to the coat check, if they actually feel seen at the coat check, they will have a better evening. Plain and simple,
Mhm.
because they start the evening feeling better. The
number of
person at the
people-
coat check said, whatever, and it doesn't matter. Like, you've got a lucky number, or love your scarf, or whatever they've said, they feel seen.
Or the lady that was like, oh, right, I have to wear a mask here because it's university campus and I look like I'm going to go into surgery. You guys have nice black masks. I'm like, I gotcha. And I like went over and I grabbed a black mask and I was like, shh, right? Like it's these little silly things that make a huge difference to people. And the other thing that shocked me, so now this is totally going away on this, but it's what we do though, right? Like it's what we do. The number of people that were shocked that we would say, I hope you really enjoy yourself this evening, or trying to get to that personal level with them in a coat check, the surprise in their eyes was dumbfounding to me, because I'm like, do people not care anymore? Like, yeah, I'm taking your coat, but like, I get to love you for like 2.7 seconds. That's all I got. I'm going to make it the best 2.7 seconds possible. But the surprise on people's faces was.
I think that's a reflection of the last 2 years of not being seen.
Mm-hmm.
So huge.
Anyway,
so that's
yeah.
Perfect examples of people development. And he talks right off at the beginning, and we're going to talk about that. He says 2 things always happen on level 4. There's a very high level of teamwork, high investment in people, deepens relationships. There's our level 2, which helps people to know each other better and therefore strengthens loyalty. And then the second part of that, he says performance increases. Since there are more leaders on the team, everybody's performance improves. But the teamwork one really made me think, because I listened as I was driving in the last 2 days to Emily Gibson talking about working this month to support Sean in a rank up to Sapphire. And you may or may not know, but she's going to be gone to Portugal the last 6 days of the month. So isn't that interesting that you're picking a month that you're going to be gone the last 6 days to work for a rank up for someone on your team, right? It's kind of a big deal. And she's like, I've done all the things, talked to all the people, but she talked about last week having all those leaders into her home, different days, walking through all the back office, line by line, sending a message to this one, sending a message to this one, sending a message to this one. She talked about the teamwork in person of working with her leaders, Sean's leaders, to help each of them get to where they wanted to go, which was part of that whole big picture.
Yeah.
Yes, Amy. Hand holding leaders. These leaders are emeralds. These leaders, they're already leaders.
Yeah. And she had them into her home last night. Like, and they weren't even, she's like, sometimes we sit and work, sometimes we watch movies. They were watching like Top Gun or something. But that struck me. I was like, because this is not by accident.
No.
This is not by accident. This is super intentional. She's developing people without like, I don't know. Yes, I'm sure she did all the back office stuff, but there's also just that essence of being with people, right? It's kind of like when he goes through the whole, these are the stages of doing things, right? Like, I'll do it and you watch me, we'll do it too, like, whatever, right? Yeah. She was on like the next level where she's like, I'm just going to be here while you do it. Or, I'm going to insert myself in a support role, like you're important to me still, right? It wasn't, I'm going to babysit you while I do a thing for you. It's like, you're important to me, come take up space in my life, and we'll go over things and do things. But she really was, that actually impacted me before I'd really put the two together, that this was people development together.
Yes, people development. It's not like they need her to give them a message to send. They know the messages, but the energy of the excitement of sending the messages with other people is people development.
Mm-hmm.
We got
Hello,
baby on the
baby.
screen. That's so cute.
So sweet. Oh my gosh, she reminds me of Ella. Oh, here. Cute little round head. All right. And I know, like, well, I feel like I could jump back and forth in this whole chapter, but I'm just so thankful that we did the 21 laws first. Like, it just, I feel like it should be like part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, I really do too.
It really should indicate on the book that you should read the other one first. Not that you couldn't get stuff out of this one without the other one, but there's so much groundwork that's been laid with the law. When you start going into the laws on level 4, you're like, oh, so this is where this fits in. Okay. It just gives you context.
So if we go to the upside.
Yeah. I was like, where are we?
Amy, question?
Comment. I was just going to say that it's really interesting that he talks about giving people more than they can do and knowing it all around. And it really reminded me earlier about and I don't remember if it was this book or a different one, where the CEO found a project and gave the project. And the person went, oh, I can do this project, and went away. And then they'd come back and they're like, I can't do anything. I don't know what to do. And that steps before the promotion. So all of this happened so that when they got the promotion, everybody was excited for the person getting the promotion.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this one talks a bit about like putting the person into the next level before they're ready, showing that you're investing in their training and their development.
Mm-hmm.
Which I liked, but it's interesting that I grew up in a house where the comment of the goal was, I'm training you to take over my job so that I don't have a job and I'll find something else to do.
Mm-hmm.
And reading the insecurities and those sorts of things going, I've seen it in action. At this point in my life, I've seen all of those things, and I still don't understand why people don't want to work themselves out of a job.
And we can go right back to parenting and just exactly what you said. Like, that is the whole purpose. We are working ourselves out of a job. My kids have jobs on Saturday mornings. I'm missing 3 out of my 4 kids. I'm like, so who's going to vacuum? Like, and maybe it's me. And my kids are like, well, at the beginning, they're like, well, what are you doing? And I am filling in the holes, holding garbage bags, I'm doing the little things. I know how to clean toilets. I am trying to work myself out of a job. So if I go away, the toilets get cleaned. Like, y'all can stand on your own 2 feet, right? And I think like this whole thing, Sherry, you were brilliant to start it off with parenting, right? Like, those of us who have kids that are like getting to that later teen stage where you're just like, okay, we're almost ready to get out of the nest, but I'm not just going to kick you out one day. Like, I'm going to make sure that you're spreading your wings, you're fluffing a little bit before we do that, right? We're going to kind of, how many times my 16-year-old says, well, I don't know how to do that. Great. Let's figure it out. Because someday I'm going to be there. The other thing I was going to say, Amy, and what you were referencing from before really brought my mind to something that he was talking about. And I can't remember where exactly in the chapter it is. But when he said that there was a fellow that was doing training with new employees, and he said, I expect you to make 30 mistakes during every training session. And everybody like let out an audible sigh, like, oh, right? And I thought that is just so brilliant, right? Because perfection is not, I said that to somebody this week that was just starting their journey. And I was like, we don't do perfection here. We do progress. Like, learn, please learn. Don't strive for perfection. You will fall every time.
Yeah.
Let's learn. Like I said, I don't remember where that is, but it's in here somewhere.
So if we go into the upside of people development, and I think there's 5 kind of headings on this. And the first one he's got is people development sets you apart from most leaders. And, you don't even really think about that when you're doing it, or at least that's my experience, is you're just thinking about helping people grow.
It's having the right perspective. How many people were reading this and went, this is synonymous with Plexus and how everything is structured and where they lead us. Like, it's so brilliant. And on that upside of people development sets you apart from most leaders. Like, reading this, I was like, again, this is the 5-star diamond pro, this is what we're talking about. And that's what Emily was doing, right? Like, it's choosing that significance over success. And I really do think that level 4 leadership, you can have success in level 2, right? Like, a lot of people don't even get past level 2 and they're incredibly successful by a lot of standards. But if you want to be significant, that is where you're doing the people development thing.
Yeah. I think in this section, page 184 is where he talks about the
Yes.
damage that's done by putting people into positions that they're not equipped for.
Mm-hmm.
And probably this has been my greatest learning in the last, 3 years, is the level of equipping that I need for positions, but that I need to provide to others. And I go back to that image of the ladder, and the ladder with the first step higher than my head so I can't read it or reach it, or the ladder with the first step at my knee. So it's not a big deal to take the first step. The equipping that I've realized needs so much smaller steps. You
Mhm.
can provide lots of them, but they need to be smaller steps.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? I think about how brilliant, for example, just a tool, boards is for equipping people, right? Like, I had an ambassador come back to me this last week and she said, okay, I have been out of the game for a while. Like, I haven't done anything since we changed over to the new compensation plan. I'm doing kind of a network marketing thing or a direct sales thing online this week, like a party thing. And she's like, I just need to know, like, can you give me the breakdown? I'm like, oh, sister, I can give you a breakdown, but I'm going to give you a gift. Here is boards. Here is everything that you need. Here's what you're asking for, but here's, whatever. And it just, having tools and systems like that is just so brilliant to be able to flawlessly equip somebody. And then they can choose to take the steps, like you're saying, the small incremental steps, as it were, or they can keep climbing, like they can keep going straight up. And it's also something they can do. This is a development piece that they can then turn around easily and show somebody else. And it's not like, hey, this is all the knowledge that I've gleaned over the last 10 years. It's like, hey, here's a link. Do some reading. Next time you're in your bathroom, just do some reading.
Check it out. So on this section, we're going to keep moving fairly quickly. So, if you've got something to say, we're happy to jump back and forth and all those good things. But the second one he mentions is people development assures that growth can be sustained. It's like, and I'm going to go back to kids. It's like, once you've taught them how to clean the toilet, they know how to clean the toilet. It's sustained. It's done. They may not do it perfect. They may choose what level of quality they do it, but your part of teaching is done. And when they're off on their own and they decide, oh, this toilet's really grody, it needs cleaning. Guess what? They know how. And to me, that's a huge thing about equipping, helping people see where to find things, what to do. That's sustainable.
I was just gonna bring up one part, something I learned, about leadership development earlier in my 20s when I was became a part of a nonprofit organization working with people with mental health. And I love this on page 187. Have I jumped ahead or I don't know where I'm at.
You're
Anyways.
perfect. You're perfect.
Okay. On 187, it's talking sort of about a transfer of ownership and creating that environment where people want to take responsibility. So this place that I worked at were for people with mental health, and we called it a club. And my position there, and it was made very known. I had to take training in order to become this kind of leader. I had to leave for a month to go to Utah to get trained in sort of the ways of Clubhouse society. Is that my position there was not to do everything, because the Clubhouse had over 300 members, right? My position there, and there was only 5 staff, and that was on purpose, have as little staff as possible, is that I needed to help people to look at look at this place and take ownership, want to be responsible. And that helped them to start thinking again about what they could possibly be able to do again. For many of these people, they were coming in, they lost, it was super sad, right? They've lost possibly a marriage, their children have been taken away, they have no job, right? They are a zero right now. They feel just horrible who they are as an individual. And so our job was not to counsel. We didn't counsel there. Our job was to help them to develop skills again and help them to get busy working. And so it was always a process, because, they'd come in and just be like, oh, whatever, I'm here, big deal, right? And kind of like sit around for the first little while. And then you'd be like, hey, like, I can't handle the lunch today. Like, there is nobody here. Like, I see you're just having coffee, but would you like to come and join me in the kitchen? And they're like looking around. They're like, me? You want me to? Yeah. Like, do you want to come and help? Oh, okay. Do you think you could maybe cut the carrots or whatever, you give them a small job, and they're like, well, I don't know, I haven't done that for a while or something, right? Like, just simple life skills, right? It's been wiped from them, right? They just don't know anymore how to do anything. And so I love that leadership creates the environment for ownership, where each person wants to be responsible. That's what I want to have. I want to have a team where people look around at the whole big, view of the whole thing and go, hey, I could do that. I think I could do that. But that comes with developing them first, making that connection and showing them that they really can be able to be part of this and that, right? It's a process, right? And so that was my process. I had to get to know them. I had to make them feel comfortable there. I had to help them to see that they were worth something and that they could be part of this, and then finally, the end result for many of these people were the fact that they got so good at what they were doing. I would be the one sitting down having a coffee and they would all be in the kitchen. I'd be like, yeah, I'm just gonna, they'd come to me and be like, you know what, I'm done this now. I'm gonna move on to this other thing. Sure, sounds good. And that was the process. And we pretty much worked them out of being there, and then help them to get back out into the world and find a job, right? So I love that. I love that whole, that setup and how developing people and that relationships, and yeah. So Man, John Maxwell was right there with us there. I didn't even know it.
I think that's absolutely a perfect, and it leads right into that people development empowers others
Yes.
to fulfill whatever responsibilities in life they are wanting, whether it's leadership, whether it's parenting, which is leadership, with self-leadership, all the things.
I think the self-leadership piece there, Sherry, is very intuitive, right? Like, and I think that that's truly, we always talk about that, right? Like, you need to start by leading yourself well. And I think going along with what Jimmy was saying and what we were discussing before is a lot of people in the last couple of years have lost so much, and they're just sort of starting to realize the ramifications of what has happened. And I think a lot of people have even lost their ability to lead themselves. They have absolutely no idea where to start. So, you know, even Plexus just coming along, you coming alongside them is essentially like handing them a paring knife and getting them to start cutting the carrots, right? Like, you know, why don't you come along? Hey, you know what? Here's a place for you to belong. Why don't you come to book club? Why don't you come to our team call? Why don't you come to our welcome to Plexus call? Why don't you, you know, here's a part of a page that you are like, guys, even that piece, you belong here. Hey, this is an exclusive members only Facebook page. It's called Grow. This is where we provide a lot of information. We provide support, like, and this is for you. It's not just for everybody. It's for you. This is where you get to come plug in and belong, right? So don't discount what we have and those tiny pieces that we can start plugging people in, and how much that could actually make a difference for them. I love that people development empowers the leader to lead larger. Yeah. If you want to be an effective leader, you must move from perfectionist to pragmatist. Wow, that's like so good.
Yeah, so good.
And then people development provides great personal fulfillment. And I'm seeing this, like, and we'll go back to Emily because Sherry and I are like entrenched in Emily right now. But, you know, I'm watching her, honestly, I'm seeing more personal fulfillment from her in the last like 12 to 18 months since she started this whole the life coaching thing, and she's seeing people, you know, walk through that, and then building Sean's leg and seeing all of these people on the leaderboard, and it's not her necessarily that's shining. I mean, obviously she's going to Portugal, so it's working out fairly well for her, but she's so excited about the development that's happening, and you can see the fulfillment that is changing, right? And I think that's so important, especially with a job where you can get really, really good at what you do, right? If what you're doing is fulfilling on one level, right? Like you're creating silvers, you're helping people get healthy, and it's really exciting and whatever. But the next level is developing the people, and just that piece that is just so fulfilling as a leader, to see other people step into that new leadership role.
So we've talked, and the beginning of this chapter talks about all these upsides of people development. And there are lots of upsides, but there's also some downsides.
Wah, wah.
You know, leading on level 4, it's that loss of self-centeredness. I don't know if that's kind of a thing, but
Bye, ego.
it's like, well, I should get to, but no, because I'm the leader. It's like I'm the mom. And so I really probably shouldn't have the temper tantrum right now that I'd really like to have. Because, you know, it's just not that good of an example. So I think there are some downsides. Like there's that level of personal maturity and emotional maturity. There's that expectation to keep on growing and to keep on having more to offer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, Diana says maturity is beyond thinking about yourself. It is, because sometimes you think I've done all this and it's not going well and nobody appreciates me. And you're like, and suck it up, buttercup, because guess what? That's a downward spiral. And that's not the leadership spiral that I want to go for.
And this is what I worked so hard for, is to not think of myself. Show me. What? What?
How'd that work?
I think the other thing to bring up too is it's interesting because if you neglect progressing through these stages and then starting again and starting again and starting again, you will get to a place where you look around and you're like, oh, look at my proficient leaders that I have, and you can like, I have helped, I've been part of their story of development. I have proficient people, and isn't that great? And now I've worked myself out of a job, but I have failed to create a new job. So either I sit here and I just get to be a cheerleader and I applaud, or I pick up a shovel and start at level 1 again. And we go through it all over.
And I think that leads us right into the second piece about insecurity. And the insecurity, maybe not so much about doing what you did before, but the insecurity about the expectation that you now can do what you did before, you can teach what you did before, but there's more. There's more to learn, there's more to offer, there's more. And that means that you become that beginner learner again. Like, who's excited about going out and trying to do something that you've never done before that you know you're gonna suck at?
So super great example of this. I don't know how many of you guys follow Celeste Gwynn on Instagram, but since they did the rebranding, since we did Super Saturday in January, I've noticed a lot of diamonds and a lot of big leaders in Plexus really dive into their Instagram, really start doing reels, like all of these things. These are people who make a crap ton of money that would not have to start again, that would not have to go and do things that are scary, that they're bad at, that they're going to look foolish on, like none of that. Celeste is like cranking out reels. She's still sponsoring people. She's still developing leaders. She's still doing all those things. She wouldn't have to keep her business afloat, but she is not being threatened by the new things. She's not feeling threatened by bringing new people on. She is a lifelong learner. She's continuing to start again. She's like, she is probably like, and we've said this before, very few people get to level 3. If not, like, if you get to level 4, he says at the end of this, like, or wherever it is, 90% of people don't get to level 4. Celeste Gwynn is one of those people that is a level 5 leader. And when you watch her try to learn a new skill, I just sit there in awe and I'm like, you wouldn't have to. Like, it's like Elon Musk. He could stop doing anything right now. Like, that's done. That's good. Does he? No. Because he's driven for that next piece, right? And I think that is kind of like the piece de resistance, right? Is finding something that you are so passionate about that you would start over and over and over again, that you would pursue with abandon, like, and that fulfillment is not the like, you never get to the destination. Like, it's always like, okay, so here's this goal. Okay, now here's this goal. Okay, here's, and finding joy in all of those pieces being put together. And yeah, we need to find joy in our businesses, in developing people, in starting over again, in being uncomfortable. How many of us would just like to just be comfortable for a little while? Like, could we just stop with the growth? It hurts. It hurts. The stretch marks from the last time haven't healed yet. Could we take a time out? No. Growth is uncomfortable and sometimes it's ugly, but you're better for embracing it and looking at these downsides and learning from them, right?
I really like what he says on page 198 near the top there, when he says, kind of it's how you evaluate your ego piece, and that, do your team members share their thoughts and ideas freely? Are the best ideas rarely your ideas? Like, do you give space for ideas? Do you give space for people to tell you what they think? And if you often contribute ideas, does the discussion quickly move from your idea to the best idea? And that's what you're excited about. So are you able to let go of that idea and concept that you spent all this time thinking about and you know, kind of creating so that you could gift it to your team? And then are you excited when it morphs into something totally beyond? And do your people feel that you're excited about it? And this is really hard, because this is, in my opinion, it's hard because it means you need to, it's like when your little kid says to you, Mom, let's do this instead. And you've made the whole plan to do plan A. And the little kid says, but Mom, no, I think it'd be so fun to do this other thing. And you go, I've invested way too much. No, we can't do that today. Maybe another day, but we can't do that today. Or are you the mom, the leader that says, oh, tell me more. Why do you think that would be a better choice? And you're able to let go of all of that box of commitment and planning for project A.
And I know some of you are like, I would really love it if my people had ideas that they would want to share. Because sometimes it's, you know, when you have a smaller team, you're like, could we have somebody who's invested enough that wants to share an idea or a thought? You will get there. You will get there. It's okay. But I love that, because it is truly where, you know, death to self happens. And it is the passion for the team, the collective, right?
Yeah.
And so
as a mom, I remember thinking, oh, well, that's a good idea, but not today. I've got too much invested in decision A. But you know what? The next time the question got asked, there was no input because they'd been shut down.
And I was going to say, so we really love all of your input, even if you don't think that it's important. We really, really love it. Please more.
We love it.
Please more.
But if you give input and don't feel that it was valued or considered, we also need to know that, because clearly then there's a growing point that we are missing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably in the next section where it talks about control.
I was just looking at control. Mm-hmm.
You know, we want all the ideas for the book about working on we want. Yeah, that would be control, right? Because we know better than everybody.
It's hard because, you know, you work so hard at a certain point to like be like, okay, someone's got to steer the ship. All right, here I go. And then you just feel like you get proficient at steering, and then you're supposed to let go. And let's try. And you never know, right?
So I don't know how many of the moms here are just in the process of starting new drivers, but there's a lot of that angst involved in letting go and not grabbing the wheel.
Can we talk about how my brand new vehicle with less than 50 kilometers on it, my husband was like, sure, Lucas, get behind the wheel. I'm like, what? Excuse me? Nolan hadn't even driven it yet. And he was like, yeah, you can drive. I'm like, you can back it out of the driveway around the police car that's sitting there. Like,
yep.
Don't you want to back it out of the driveway for him?
Yeah.
I was having anxiety management moments from the back seat, and Nolan was like, oh, you could have sat in the front. I'm like, no, I'm going to quietly lead from the back seat. You can proactively lead from the front seat. I'm just going to do my thing back here. But I just kept on repeating in my head. I'm like, think of the impact that this is going to give to your 16-year-old who understands that this is mom's brand new car that you are getting to drive. this is mom's brand new car that you're getting to drive. You have been given the opportunity to do like that was huge. So I was like a bit of chunk of my tongue off, but
that
get it.
control and that trust. I think this is a perfect example for this section.
Well, and you know,
We're
it was really
all there.
it was really funny because yesterday Nolan had said, you don't need to go and get the registration switched over right away at 7 days. And so I said to him, like, no, I'm going to go do it because I don't want Lucas to drive it until we have the registration switched over so that we have the insurance on the vehicle. And so we're driving home yesterday and Lucas said, well, are we going home? And I said, no, we're going to go to the whatever place. And I explained to him, I'm like, so that you can drive. Right. So that was the first piece of confidence from mom, that it was like, I am planning for you to drive my new car and I'm going out of my way to make it happen for you, even though I might be white knuckling it and turning green in the back seat. It's fine. It's fine. It's
Nobody said growth was easy, Janelle.
just a car.
So for those of us that have been through all of our kids learning to drive, gratefully, we survived, they survived, it's all good. We are now leveling up on that whole thing because now we have grandchildren that are going to drive our vehicles without us going through the whole prep program. It's like, boom.
Did you? I can't remember where that was that somebody had said, your measure of success is not your children, it's your children's children, right? So it's like, how well did you teach your children how to teach other people?
Yeah, so here we go. We are now in the test program.
Amy, did you know that you were getting graded here? No, just kidding. Or Sherry, you're getting graded on Amy's.
Graded. I'm getting graded. So we've done well so far.
Everyone's good. Everyone's
Everyone's
fine.
So far.
By the way, I get 2 drivers the next time at the same time.
Yeah,
So
you're blessed. You're blessed.
I just feel like, this must be even a new level of growth, learning, like doing business with your kids. Like I'm thinking about Sherry, and Amy, I'm just like, wow, that's a whole nother level of like vulnerability because like you have to grow together and it's kind of not usually how it goes. Because you're both trying to figure out the business together and both trying to figure out how to, and so you're both learning a lot of things at the same time. And it's almost like an equalizer, which is like really weird probably to feel as a parent. So I'm just like, this is very fascinating.
Yeah, as a parent, Chelsea, you realize that it's never equal. It's not about equal.
Well, and I was going to say there's the other piece too, because Amy, I'm sure that you're in the same space as me and Jimmy, you too, right? You're looking at that next generation. You've got your teens and you're like, if I can get this figured out to teach you how to do this simply, do you know how much further ahead you're going to be? And so you're starting to look at the 3rd generation, right, Amy?
My daughter doesn't turn 17 till May, and she was giving out samples to her first customer who's going to be mine because she can't sign up for another year and a couple months.
Yep.
And then when that happens, we're going to figure out how to transfer her people over to her.
Then you just start keeping track where you're like, yeah, okay. Yep. I owe you 3 or I owe you 7 or I, whatever, right? Like we'll just work on it together.
They owe you a whole gold team by the time we get there.
Right. But it's just this thing, right? Like, and it's okay. So now I need to figure out how to throw you on the right track for Instagram. That's what I've been telling Lucas. Grow, you know what? You're 16. Grow your Instagram. Find something you're passionate about.
And do all the things. Add her to boards. Like, is that allowed to add her to all those things before she's
Absolutely.
allowed to?
She can be in boards.
She can be anywhere. She can be anywhere she wants to be.
Totally.
And she can try and fail over and over and over again on how to tell people about things and, whatever. But like the number of times my kids come home and they're like, Mom, so-and-so needs Plexus. I told them to message you. And I'm like, okay, well, let's ease into that a little.
Wow. I just feel like, I even think back to a few years ago, like when I was like so broke, like the brokest I've been in my life. And I remember looking up online, like how to make extra money, like how to make extra, like how do you do this? I was so broke. And I'm just like, I wish I would have had something like this passed down to me. And I'm just like, I could have gotten started way sooner. But also just like, this is so user friendly. Like, but a lot of it has to do with your mindset, but I just hadn't even heard of anything like this. Like I knew about Amway and Tupperware. Like that was my, that was my, that's all I had for,
Right.
back in 2017, like that was my only concept of like, and I still kind of thought it was all a pyramid scheme, but I don't know. I just didn't know about it
Yeah.
at all. And so wishing I had some of that knowledge a little bit back then. So your kids are so blessed. Wow.
But Chelsea, you think like now I look at like where you guys are working currently and the relationships that you're making with young people, right? And I'm just like, you can be that for them. They don't
Yeah.
need blood. Sorry, Amy, go ahead.
Chelsea, and your kids, like your kids are a leg up again on my kids because your kids are that much littler. They're seeing this is a way of life. This is just is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course mom's reading books and learning because everybody does.
Right.
And I don't go to school because I'm going to learn history and science. I go to school so I can think in different ways and ask different questions and then take it back to mom. And she hands me one of these books.
Parenting tools.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes.
So as we're moving along, this is a great conversation, and
Sorry, let's keep going.
we can spend a long time here. But page 201, number 4, he says, lack of commitment can keep leaders from doing the hard work of people development. And again, I think of parents. As a parent, it's a commitment. And as a leader, it's a commitment. And as we learn about commitments and trust, that really is the piece. And interestingly enough, I don't even see it as a downside on this particular one. I just see it as, this is part of the growth program, and commitment is what we do. So I love that.
I'm going to skip back just quickly, the short-sightedness piece too, right? And we can do that when you get, again, going back to parenthood, you get stuck in the cycle of the everyday and the mundane and whatever, and you can forget. Quick story. Lucas went to kindergarten. They were asking the kids to name, can you show me where your elbow is? Can you show me where your wrist is? Whatever. And she says, can you show me where your ankle is? And he goes, I don't have one of those. And she goes, you don't? Well, I do. And he goes, yes, but boys and girls are different. I was slightly short-sighted and apparently did not teach my son where his ankle was. So, but we can get so wrapped up in the process of things that we forget some of these fundamental things, and I was short-sighted. I have now given that teacher a great story to tell for the rest of her life. And poor Lucas does know where his ankle is. And then I made sure to educate each one of my other children about where their ankles were.
A learning moment. So good. And but we're all short-sighted to some extent.
We can't see everything.
Exactly.
But I learned and taught about ankles.
Amy, were you going to say something? No. I think our short-sighted stories could go on for a long time, but we've got like 6 minutes left. And I think if we just go into best behaviors on level 4 of how to develop people. And it starts with
recruiting
people that you connect with. the recruiting piece.
Find
And it
the best
starts with
people.
filtering right off the bat, looking for people that are the people you want to work with, the people, and actually choosing not to invest time in people that aren't a fit for your tribe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to leave it alone because I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but we could talk about just that piece forever.
Yeah.
Positioning, placing the right people in the right positions, obviously giving people the right, like I'm not going to go and do graphics because that is not my strong point. I will either defer to somebody else like Carrie Clausen to do them, or I will send it to my VA. Could I do it? Yes, but that would take me exponentially longer.
Yeah.
The right people in the right positions. Modeling, showing how to lead.
Yeah.
Oh,
The other piece I really like about this is that second paragraph. It's page 208. But he said, when I first started coaching, people told me to put my 5 best players on the court. And I learned early on, this
yes.
was not the key to success. I wasn't putting the 5 best players on the court that was going to cause us to win. It was putting the 5 players on the court who could work together the best. We won championships because we put people together. So that I think is really, really key. It's not just about somebody that's extremely skilled in one area. It's about the teamwork that happens between people that have skills.
Totally. Modeling, showing people how to lead is number 3. It's just so good. Like just gold nuggets everywhere. Empowering, enabling people to succeed. Yeah. What time is it? 4 minutes. I want to skip ahead to the laws of leadership at the people development level, because I think that's I think that this is where we break this down and go, okay, I may not be a level 4 leader, but you know what? I do this law well.
Really well. Yeah.
This is where one of my strong suits are. And it's really encouraging because you can be like, oh, I see traits of myself at these different leadership levels. And I think that really shines a light in where you can go. Because yeah, we can say that, 90% of people don't do this, don't get to level 4, but honestly, how many of those people are even trying? How many of those people are looking at this going, I could do this well, and I can do this better. And if I continue to develop myself at a level 2 and then move on to a level 3, I'm still growing in those strengths that I have on the level 4 level. So, it really gives you a broader concept as far as where your strengths are in leadership. The law of addition, leaders add value by serving others. Guys, Leaders Retreat was all about service to other people. And again, I just look at this company and I'm like, Lord, how did you put me in this? Like, you are so brilliant. Thank you for putting me in this company, because everything that we do is just so aligned with my values and that whole concept of serving others well. To have an entire retreat all about everything came back around to serving others. Yeah, it's so brilliant.
And the law of empowerment to me is one that just really, really is significant, because that's giving your power to others. It's gifting others and equipping them, but making sure that they're then gifted with the ability.
I like how he says here, people don't reach level 4 unless they're willing to empower leaders, promote them, and release them to lead.
Yeah.
Go do it. And you know what? It may not look the way that you think it should look, but that's okay. Go.
Yeah.
Go lead, go do it.
And if you're really diving deep into this, just go back and read those laws in the 21 laws.
Mm-hmm. And again, just if you feel like you're wherever you decide that you're at with most people, because remember, we start at level 1 with everyone. If wherever you figure that you're at in your leadership level, where kind of your lid is at, that's where you should go in, like Sherry said, and find the laws for that level and look at that and see where the growth piece has to happen. Because he does talk again about the lid. We all have a lid. John Maxwell has a lid,
Yeah, totally.
right?
And then I think that the section on beliefs provides us kind of with a bit of a framework for moving forward. When he talks about, yes, we have to do the work. Yes, we have to do the activity. Yes, we do need to do things. But the big goal at level 4 is developing leaders, helping other people get what they want.
And he really embodies this, right? Because number 3 says developing leaders is a life commitment, not a job commitment. And it's truly is what his life is. And so to watch him empower other people, to hear more from him, like, I know that there's a lot of people on, and I'll just say this quickly, that there are some top leaders in Plexus that don't really ascribe to some of the people that you can get subscriptions for or masterminds for or whatever, because they haven't, they might know the formula of how to do the things, but they haven't put their feet where they're telling people to go.
Yeah.
Right? John Maxwell is not one of those people.
Yeah.
His feet and fingerprints are all over all of these things. And you can see you can see the evidence of it. And that's what I love. That's why I love learning from him, is because he's gone where he's telling people to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was level 4.
So I think we're going to start next time. I will probably just start briefly with that guide to growing through level 4 and level 5.
I was going to say, yes, we will. Because I think I'm the only we that's going to be.
That'll be on Janelle. Janelle will lead you through. Next week, I am on my way to a memorial. And so won't have service at the time that we are live.
All good. And yes, Diana, the next book is Soundtracks by John Acuff.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 weeks to get that and to start it out. It'll be good. Thanks, guys, so much for your time this morning. Have a wonderful afternoon. And yeah, we're nearing that month end time already.
Jimmy?
Where did April go?
I don't know.
Where did April go?
There you go.
It's okay. It can be gone because there was snow and it can stay gone. Yeah, we'll see. Are y'all getting snow this morning? Amy and Sherry? No, I think I'm supposed to. Fantastic. All right. Have a great day, guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye.